I was gonna start podcasting while I was walking up a mountain again, but I think I'm finally learning my lesson. Like, wait a second, I don't need to do that. I can just stop midway. But I guess it's not quite as cut and dried as that, because the thing with going up the mountain is it would be nice and quiet. I didn't want to, I was listening back to, I've been editing this podcast, so just like the first one from Japan when I'm walking around Sengenjaya. And it's like, man, I retrospectively and in the future, because I know it'll have to happen again, but I certainly regret every time I recorded around traffic. God, it's so loud, but it's just really hard to avoid sometimes. So I guess it's the same thing here, is between the traffic and the mountain, I did find a nice little park. So I'm like, let's just stop there. And man, yesterday was the biggest weather flip-flop yet, where it was so warm when I was heading out to those islands in northern Fukuoka. Like I had a jacket, like a windbreaker thing, because I knew I'd be on a windy island, and I couldn't even wear it because it was just like so hot. It was oppressively midsummer, just sweating to death hot. But then on the way home, not only was it zip up your jacket weather, then it became put on the stretchy gloves weather, then it became take off the jacket so you can put on your thermal shirt and then put the jacket back on weather. Like I needed an underlayer. It's like, fuck, that was really cold. Made me a little concerned today. I was like, are the good times finally over? But today is pretty nice. Right at this very moment, the clouds have passed over, so it's a little bit chilly, but I'm still in a t-shirt. And when the sun is out, it's super warm again. But yeah, it's very, very flip-floppy. I am curious to see how it's going to be. When I get back to Tokyo, it'll be December. One other funny little detail, it's funny how these things just elude my brain sometimes. These things that are relatively simple. But when I first got to Japan, I was having trouble plugging in my computer because I didn't have any 3-pronged wall sockets in my Airbnb. And then there was none at the next Airbnb or the next. And then I realized, like, oh, they don't do that. That's a very specialized, you can buy a power bar that's like grounded with the 3 prongs, but it's expensive and uncommon. But I presumed that my old Airbnbs must have been set up with 3-pronged outlets because I had no memory of having a hard time plugging in my computer. And it just suddenly occurred to me, it was because I did have an adapter, like a multi-purpose, worldwide adapter, because I had gone to Amsterdam first. And Europe, I don't know about all of Europe, Amsterdam at least, the Netherlands, they have this strange plug, strange to me, apologies Europe, but it's just like 2 prongs, it's a circle with 2 holes in it. So I was using that to, plug my computer into the main thing and then plug that in. So I was clearly just using that device when I got to Japan, but I was only using it to transfer from 3-prong to 2-prong. But in my mind, I wasn't using it because there was no power adapter needs. Like the power grid system or whatever works the same in North America as it does in Japan. If you have a 2-prong plug in either country, that's fine. So because I was only using it to convert from 3 prongs to 2, and there was no actual power conversion going on, in my mind I wasn't using it, or I didn't need it, It never occurred to me that it was allowing me to plug in my laptop the whole visit, I actually did need it. Because then when I got back to Toronto, I was at an Airbnb with a girl, I think she was from Israel, who needed a power converter. And I was like, dude, here you go. Just take it. I don't care. This thing was like $12 and I will never need it again, Or, when I do go back to Europe, I'll just buy another one. Like, who cares? Because that could be a while. Little did I know COVID was on the horizon and it was going to be a long while. But even then in my mind, I didn't think, I should save this because I'll need it in Japan. I just didn't realize that I needed it. So anyway, that's another little mystery figured out. And I guess, even though my travel tips are vague at best in this podcast, if you do have a 3-pronged plug for your computer, which you likely do, you will need to do something with that. But you don't necessarily need to buy an adapter before you get here because, again, it'll be a big, expensive, clunky device that probably has a million functions you don't need. Turns out you can just go to a store, any store really, and just buy one of those little extenders, just a little extender for like $2.50 that extends a plug out from the wall. And it's a little inelegant, but it will keep your third prong away from the wall so you can plug shit in. They probably sell them at 7-Eleven. Man, it's still amazing to me at convenience stores. I mean, it sort of depends. Like some convenience stores have more clothing than others, or some have more tech devices than others. Some of them have like groceries. Some of them are like little mini grocery stores. But yeah, when you find one that is serving the niche you need, holy crap. Man, noise, like I was saying about how it is a shame that I kind of should have recorded less parts of this podcast near traffic. It's just kind of not worth it. It's so loud. But even just that guy hammering, that is not close. That is fucking very far away. But you can just hear it. Like, noise is awful. Noise is terrible. It's insane how, like, noise pollution is just nuts. Like, I really never realized. I don't know, I feel like maybe the old recorder I had just wasn't as bad for recording outside. This new one I've got, it's the same company. It's the Zoom Corporation, ZOOM, not the Skype program, but the just a microphone company from Japan. But this is a different model, and I think it's not unidirectional, unfortunately. It just records everything all around you. And yeah, it's just like, man, Montreal was a clattering disaster. It seems like Japan is the same way. And it's not just the recorder's fault, like that is how it is, but it's amazing how well you can block it out in real life. You can block out this noise and just kind of be like, whatevs. I mean, even the fucking train going by my house, I was getting a little used to at that Airbnb in Akiruno. But it is like awful. How much we're being assaulted by sound in the modern world. It's just like so easy not to realize, but it fucking sucks. But I guess it's true too that like if you're ever in the woods at night, it is bananas how much, like every animal sounds 3 times bigger than it is. If you hear a little squirrel go by, it sounds like a rabbit. And if you hear a rabbit go by, it sounds like a fucking lion. It is scary as shit. If a deer comes out of nowhere, it's like Godzilla came out of nowhere. It's crazy how loud everything is when there's no other sound around it. Anyway, there's my pointless observation for the day. So what I'm doing today is I thought I would take a little wander up the mountain again, but I had that idea of going to Umebayashi Station because that's where my Airbnb was in 2019, and I found a cool path up the mountain from there that I enjoy that connects up to the Aburayama Katai observation deck. And then I would always walk down from there, because from there there's not only a road, there's also like a walking path. It's like a paved walking path that snakes its way down the mountain. But theoretically, that's how you're supposed to go up. I only came down that way because I wasn't near it. My Airbnb was over at near this walking path. So initially I thought, I love this walking path so much. It's my favorite. Every day I'm going to walk all the way over there and walk up the walking path. But really it was, clearly better when I was 3 blocks away. Then it was the greatest. It was the greatest walking path of all time. Or even if I was near the subway line and I took the subway there, again, perfect. It's right by the subway. But I'm not actually near it, and to get to there, I have to walk past my old exit point, the paved walking path. So I was like, yeah, today, fuck it. Why don't I walk up that way? I've never done it. I've never walked up the proper way you're supposed to walk. Let's see, to describe where it is, it's pretty easy to find on a map. And then, they recommend you take buses and crap to get here, but of course I just walked. So there's a road that goes by Hakata Technical High School and by Restaurant Mori, M-O-R-I, which is a really expensive French restaurant that's up in the mountains, Oh, and then you'll see that that road goes to Abereyama Greenland Golf Course, the golf course I got trapped on the other day. I think. How many fucking golf courses? Geez, that's not even the one. It was the Chikoshigaoka Golf Club that I was at. God, there's a lot of fucking golf around here. I mean, again, it seems like if you're gonna waste tons of space on golf, why not do it in the mountains? I do respect that. It's not space anyone else is using. But anyway, that street, you'll then see a smaller little street that goes up to the Abereyama Katai observation deck, and that's where if you have a car, you can just drive right up there. However, to the west of that street, you'll see like Nagata Pond is actually where I'm at right now, Nagata Pond. And if you go south of that neighborhood, west of Hakata Technical High School, there's just like the road just goes down and then it just disappears and then turns into a tiny dotted line. And that tiny dotted line, that's the walking path. So that's what I'm going to go up today. And then while I'm up there, I could either walk straight up to the observation deck, but there's actually, if you go to the right, that's the observation deck. But if you go to the left, there's a washroom with a delightful squat toilet, and across from it is a little opening in the woods. And in that opening are stairs that go up through the mountains into a little shrine. And then that loops up around the observation deck. So I think I might do that. And yeah, once you do that loop, then you're at the place I was trying to get to the other day. It's like a paved road, and from there you can either go on my secret path down to Umebayashi Station, take the paved road, which is like a forestry access road. Takes a long time, but it's not bad. It's like a slow, languid walk with some beautiful views. You can go down just a little ways to the observation deck, or you can keep going up the mountain. And initially, I presumed that would be on my itinerary. It's like, I only ever got to do that like one time. I went up there and I followed along until I lost track of the path, and then I forced my way down the mountain and ended up in Sawara Ward, which is west of Fukuoka, and just very picturesque, nice little place that I kind of want to go back to, but then it's just a long walk along the highway, which isn't not so great. But in a way, even though I didn't explore that particular part of the mountain as much as I thought I would, my golf course adventure the other day, I think inadvertently kind of explained to me how that mountain works. Where I realized what's going to happen if I do continue up the mountain. I mean, basically what happened to me in 2019, where I had to force my way down the mountain and ended up in Sawara Ward, is exactly what happened to me the other day when I was walking along the peaks and I couldn't get off the mountain. I had to force my way off onto a golf course. That's clearly just how it works up there. You just walk along the ridge from peak to peak to peak all the way around the mountain. And if you want to get off the mountain, too fucking bad. There's just very, very few official entrance and exit points. You just kind of got to find a part that's not too steep and then just fucking walk off the mountain and see where you end up. And I don't love that idea, That's a little less appealing. Like, it's already 1:45. I think, if it was summertime and if I had sunlight till 9 p.m. and I just had all day to walk around the mountain and I was really prepped for that, that'd be one thing. But today, if I just go up the walking path, that's fine. Go to the observation deck, that's fine. Go to the little shrine, that's fine. All of that's fine. It's that extra step up the mountain where you go deeper in. I think that's just best avoided, unless I fucking get up at like 7:30 in the morning. I don't think I should be doing that shit. I think I learned my lesson. Once you begin the endeavor, you're in. You're in whether you want to be in or not. And I don't want to be in. So yeah, more of a casual Abereyama hike, but I haven't technically been to the observation deck yet. And I mean, I went there like 15 times last time I visited Fukuoka. Probably not that many times. 7 or 8 though. It was one of my favorite little places. So I'm going to go. That's where I'm going today. There's also, I mean, I don't know his hours and his, what times of year, but there's a drink machine and a hot dog vendor up there. And I never did buy a hot dog from him. And I'm not remotely hungry, and I have a bunch of candy from fucking Lawson's in my pocket. So, I mean, I probably won't buy a hot dog today either. I don't know why I brought it up. But there is a guy up there who sells hot dogs. So I guess just to report the news. Potential hot dogs available up there. All right, I'm going to get a mosey in. All right, I'm on the paved path, walking up. This is kind of interesting. First, I gotta mention, just because it's part of my brand, is that there was a washroom at the bottom of this fucking path that was still under construction in 2019, and now it's open. So of course I have to bring that up. But I also have to bring up that it has a squat toilet in it. You know, it's a new fucking installation, and it's still got a squat toilet. Fukuoka, or at least southern Fukuoka, is run by Coke-branded drink machines and squat toilets. They fucking love it. They love it. So be aware of that. But at first, when I first got to this little paved path, I was like, suddenly it's hitting me. It's like, yeah, I really have only ever walked down this, which was very easy. Walking down a mountain trail or steep stairs, that's tricky. Walking down a fairly gentle paved path, no problem. It's delightful. So I was at the bottom and I saw the little sign that said it's over 1,100 meters, over a kilometer to the destination of the observation deck. And it's like, oh, fuck. I gotta walk for a kilometer up the whole time. And my initial thought was, I don't like this as good as the rugged mountain path over by Umebayashi. Because if you're gonna walk up, that one is that one is better. It is more interesting because you are just going up through nature, like through just a cool, rarely used but still very accessible path. So I think psychologically it's a little easier. Where here, even though I think it is physically probably technically easier because it is just a paved path, but in a weird way it seemed harder because it's less mentally interesting, having to pay attention to the ups and downs of the rough path and, it's different terrain and everything. And just something deep in the human psyche that feels like you're adventuring makes it a little easier to go up. Where this at first seemed a little bland, or it's like, man, it really is just a paved path and the uphill slant is never gonna stop. That's pretty brutal. But now that I'm only a third of the way up, and already, the other one is kind of cooler, but this is still great. Once you get a little deeper in, and you're just deeper in the woods, and there's just trees all over, and it's like, yeah, this is, it's still big, crazy trees everywhere. You're still way totally in the wilderness, and it's still really beautiful. The trees here are more spaced out, and it does just feel more open. And you can look down and see the winding path beneath you that you've walked on, and you can see where it's going ahead of you. They're both pretty good. And, also, you just kind of get into that rhythm of walking continuously uphill. Here's a pro tip, just walk really fucking slow. Some junior high school physics. Energy over time. If you spend more time, it takes less energy. So I got myself at a nice slow trudge, just trudging up the mountain. Whew, well, man, reverse engineering a route. I guess I've run into this problem before. It's difficult. So actually, that paved pathway up, it really isn't that bad because it's not 1,100 meters. Once you get to the top, it's still almost 400 meters of just road you got to go up. So it's actually pretty short. I was like over halfway up. I thought it was a third. And it's definitely not as good. The path over by Umabayashi is way better. Cool, some kind of ceremony or something going on down there. But yeah, then I thought, because it's a pretty distinct route if you go up the path from either from Umabayashi or even just from the observation deck. If you just continue on the path a little further up the mountain and you get to it's another mountain path. It twists around and steps hewn into the mountainside, very beautiful, goes to a nice little shrine. Perfect. And then it spits you out. You come out of the woods onto the main road that people used to drive up to the observation deck. So I just thought it'd be easy to find in the reverse, and maybe it is. If I went a little further, I didn't go, you know what, I can't give up yet. I can't give up. I didn't even go all the way down the road to the actual washroom that I remember being across the street. Surely I can find this thing. But anyway, I found a different shrine, a great big public one with paved roads coming up to it, and it's like busy, and yeah, they're banging gongs down there and stuff. I didn't even realize this one was here. I found this weird little shrine in the woods, and instead, Torii Gates, temple. It's not a shrine. No, fuck. It's Buddhist temple, Shinto shrine. God damn it. Anyway, it's one of these places, and it's pretty big and elaborate, and I didn't even know it was here. Right across from Restaurant Mori, Au Bout du Monde, the fancy French restaurant that overlooks the city. But yeah, I've re-inspired myself. I just walked way up, as high up here as I could, and I'm just up at a extra little bit of the shrine where no one else is, just to see if the path did keep going up the mountain, but it doesn't. I'm at a little dead end. But yeah, I'm going to go back down, and I'm going to try to find that other one. I have given up too easily. Yeah, this place seems pretty popular. A lot of car traffic coming up here. I suppose, again, I could pull out the phone. I could tell you what it's called. Wouldn't fucking kill me. This is the Aboriyama Kannon Shokakuji. Kannon Shokakug. Wait. Maybe this is a Buddhist temple, because it's the swastika. That's Buddhist, right? And then the one I was looking for, I think, there is a Shinto shrine. No, wait, I'm at the Shinto shrine. So it's a Shinto shrine and a Buddhist temple together. The one I'm thinking of in the woods, I don't know if it even is listed on maps. Maybe there's something here, but it's a weird symbol I've never seen before. So maybe it's yet a third type of monument. Okay, that's not so bad. That's why I was getting so confused. This is both the things. Yeah, because I'm walking through a torii gate right now, but the rest of this place is clearly Buddhist because I walked through a cemetery to get here. Whew, okay, I'm not totally stupid. That's nice. All right, this is a little confusing, so join me in real time as we figure out if I have figured out what's going on here. I guess it would make sense that the thing I'm thinking of is probably just an extension of that big temple I was just at, Aboriyama Kannon. But anyway, okay, so I went down the stairs from that big shrine, and then it's like 10 meters more down the road to the washroom and a drink machine. So close. And there was a guy in a van who stopped to clean the place. He was cleaning the washroom. It's like, nice, that observatory, the observation deck I was at yesterday, that certainly is not the case. Nobody's doing that. I think the day they built that washroom, a bunch of ghost pirates showed up and pissed all over it. And then they continued to come back for the next 50 years. And no one ever cleaned it. Wow, there's a immediate spider web in my way. Careful. It's hard to walk around a spider web without accidentally touching part of it. Okay, I did it. But yeah, then across the street from that washroom and drink machine, there is like another road. I kind of didn't remember necessarily, but I guess if you're coming down a path and being ejected little details like that you might forget. But then right up that road, like again, just a few meters, right at the first corner is like, I was like, man, is this the path I was thinking of? Because this is unmissable. It has big metal pegs in the road so that, vehicles can't go in. And like a big headstone looking fucking marble sign about, it was basically just, I was like, this can't be the path. There's no way it was this fancy. I would have remembered this for sure. And then it seemed like it was just another route up to where I just was. So I'm like, that can't be it. So I walked a little further down the road. And now I'm on something closer to what I remember. But what I remember, it was like the steps into the mountain were wooden. They were like people had placed wood. These ones are stone. And it is a sign for Aburayama Canyon. Which I assume that's where that music in the distance is coming from too. I don't know what the hell's going on. So these are still pretty rough steps up into the woods. They're just not quite as I recall, but maybe they'll become that way as I go, like turn into wooden steps. So I was considering walking even further down the road to see if there was yet another path, maybe. Maybe I still haven't gone far enough. But it can't be. This has to be it. And that road is, one of these no room for pedestrians roads. Yeah, there it is. I see it. I can see it. All right, so this is it. Again, I don't know. What's the point of me trying to describe all this in intricate detail? Nobody else is going to come here. Nobody fucking gives a shit. It's only relevant to me. Relevant to me because I accidentally came here once in the past. But yeah, it's weird because this is, I guess, an auxiliary part of that big temple. But obviously, based on the fact that I had to step around a spider web, nobody fucking comes to this part. But yeah, this is definitely it. Because this was, nowadays I'm like, oh, another shrine, another temple, whatever. I've seen too many. Where I remember at this point, I was still quite taken with the majesty of just finding these things all over the place. And I remember I tried kneeling at this one. Yeah, this one makes sense that it was a different symbol on the map. Because it is neither temple nor shrine, it's just a big stone with words inscribed in it. But yeah, I don't know, especially because this is actually very close to the road when you come up from the reverse direction. But the way I did it, I walked for an hour up the mountain from Umebayashi and then explored some weird side path that I had no idea where it was going to go, and eventually ended up here. It felt quite epic at the time. So yeah, I tried kneeling. I don't know, I was like feeling momentarily spiritual, though really it was just physical exhaustion. And as soon as I knelt down, my knees hurt. And I was like, no, never mind. There is no spiritual fucking observance in the world worth hurting my knees for. I'll take good knees, please, over any enlightenment or inner peace. I don't need that. I need good knees. And kneeling, who does that? I don't see anybody kneeling in Japan. It's just because of my Catholic upbringing. That's just my go-to. That's all I got. I don't know what else to do. Kneel down. Bow your head. Cool. Anyway, I found it. So theoretically now, if I keep going up this path, it won't take me directly to the observation deck. It'll actually take me past it, a little too high up. But then I can loop around to the right and back down to the observation deck. Cool, though. Another piece of my fucking self-devised scavenger hunt. This has been a pretty neat little mix of, as I've said before several times, but my conception of what I would do when I came back to Japan was a bit limited during COVID times, daydreaming about Japan because all I had to work with was what I had previously done. It was too abstract to envision new places. I'm not just going to make up Japanese scenery I'd never seen. So I would just think about the places I'd already been and like, okay, I got to go back there. I got to go back there. I got to go back there. And so far it's been a pretty nice mix of going back to some old places, but also finding a bunch of new places. And by finding the new places, like I was describing earlier, just about even just the mechanics of how hiking Mount Aburayama works that I realized over on the other end of the mountain, it gives additional context to these things I wanted to come back to. So maybe I don't necessarily need to go back, or I can just go back briefly, soak it in briefly, but I don't have to really dwell on the old stuff. Old and the new mixed together. Elements of the past and elements of the future. This is actually really cool. I'm still not really focusing on it. That's the other weird thing with stuff like doing podcasts. It's like I've been standing here longer than I normally would. I wouldn't just stand here and contemplate this thing, but I'm inadvertently standing here because I'm yammering to myself because I want to finish whatever dumb shit I'm saying before I keep walking up the hill. So I'm just inadvertently staring at this thing. It's like a big stack of rocks that comes up about to my mid-chest. Then there's a bigger rock on top of those rocks that goes up over a little higher than my head. And then on top of that is a huge rock that's like twice as tall as me. Well, 1.5 times. And then it's got some characters chiseled into it, which who could possibly know what it says besides millions of Japanese speakers? But I have no idea. I bet it's good though. I bet it means something. I bet it's some fucking deep shit. Whereas I'm just kind of thinking like, could I climb up on that? Of course I wouldn't. I never would. But I don't think so. It would be very tough. I don't think I can make it up. Oh, that happened to me yesterday as I was trying to walk back from the observation deck island, and I was walking along the sandbar and then along the same beach along the southern edge like I did before. But the tide had risen just enough that at the end of the sandbar that connects the two islands, there was just enough ocean water that I couldn't I couldn't cross the gap. I couldn't make it to the other island. It was just a little too far. So I had to go all the way back and under the bridge and up on the northern side. And then I just walked along the road to get back to the train. Didn't try the beach because it did seem like it was, it had seawalls and stuff. I probably could have walked more or less along the beach, but it was also dark at that point. And it's just like, the beach is clearly gone, more or less gone at this tide level. So never mind. But I stopped at a nice little 7-Eleven. Lots of motorcycles on those islands, so it's just motorcycle people hanging out at the 7-Eleven. And it was my first time going to a 7-Eleven where both people working there were not Japanese. But they weren't white people, although that happened to me once in 2019. It was real late at night. I was in Ikebukuro, and a white guy was working at a konbini, but he didn't speak English. And I've never met a white person who doesn't speak any English before. I just presumed, I'm like, oh, this will be a nice treat. I'm just like, hey, bro, what's up? Nothing. He had no idea what I was saying, so I don't know where he was from. I mean, maybe he was Japanese, that happens. There's these people that, they get adopted when they're kids, and they're basically fully Japanese, but they run into these weird issues where they just don't get treated like a Japanese person because no one thinks they're Japanese or expects that they are. But no, in this case, the girl working there, I guess she's probably from India, but I didn't talk to her. The guy, I don't know. But it was kind of interesting because he had more English than, your average Japanese person. But obviously English was not at all his first language. He asked if I wanted choppy sticks. It's like, no, I'm good, thank you though. Yeah, and it was this, I've never heard that before, choppy sticks. Anyway, okay, that's enough rambling. Time to continue up the mountain. Man, this is a weird phenomenon too, where I don't know, I guess it's because, yeah, like this part in particular, but I guess many things, they're not quite as I remember. Or, if it's things I only did once 4 years ago, so it's all a little fuzzy. But I feel like I'm like rewriting things in my mind or something. So I started going up this path, and right away there's different little branches. Which I guess that's, again, when you're coming down, it's like you're just going down. There's not really a lot of options. Going up is so much harder. It'll be interesting when I get back to Tokyo. I'm going to try to go back to the Congo Falls, redeem myself on that adventure. But I'm going to try to go in the back way, and it might fail, because it's very easy to leave the falls by the back forestry road, but so in my mind, it's like, yeah, just do the reverse, no problem. But experience is teaching me that the reverse is way, way harder. It's way less obvious. If you don't actually really know where you're going and you're not just being funneled, it's way harder. So then one of the branches, and this is moments later. This just happened. It's just like a little extra cul-de-sac. You just come down a little bit to another place. And this is the actual, whatever that other one was I was just at, I never even noticed it before. This is the real one. This one is way bigger. It's like a stone throne. It's huge. And it's got this time it's like a big rectangular rock with more words hewn into it. And then there's like a stone tablet over to the side with a bunch of writing. Because, even as I was telling that story about kneeling down and hurting my knees on the rock, I'm looking at the ground and I'm like, it's really not stone on the ground here. Like, did I just kneel on the ground and I'm remembering it as rock? But it's like, this has to be the thing, right? This has to be it. So I'm just like rewriting my own memory. Apparently people do that a lot too. Like if you ask people about, to remember like a traffic accident they saw or something. It's really easy for people to misremember details, or you feed them some information and then suddenly they think that's how it was. I guess it's kind of like that. But now that I see this other one, it's like, oh, this is very evidently the real one till I get 10 more meters up the mountain and there's a fucking another one. But I don't know, that's just kind of an interesting phenomenon. They're very close together. It's a similar type of monument. But that was not the one. This is the one. But I guess also it's that because I can't read the words and I don't know the distinctions between what these things mean, in my mind I just inserted cool big rock monument. But the two are actually pretty different. And this one has again, stuff people have left. It's all liquid here. And there's coins. But this one, some kind of wine. Two more that are partially drunk. A bottle of just water, I guess. And a little plastic. Ooh, this one's open too. Yuck. I just got... That's definitely rice wine on my hand. But then there's like one of these little tiny cans. I forgot about these. My friend Brad gave me one of these in 2019. It's funny, this one's Asahi Super Dry. Does it even say how many milliliters? We do not sell cans this small in Canada. 135 milliliters. It's a little baby can, and it's kind of fun because it feels like you're a fucking, like you're a giant. The closest we have in North America is you can kind of get Coronitos, like the little tiny Corona bottles sometimes, but they're not as small as this. This thing is like half that size. It's so tiny. I have a big bottle of water in my back pocket that I have to use a little of my precious, precious water to rinse my hands off because they smell like fucking wine now. That's what I get for fiddling with things that people have left as offerings is that you spill them on yourself. So I guess just leave them the fuck alone. More obvious advice from an idiot. Although I guess, my water's not really that precious. It's fine. I'll be fine. It's stayed pretty cloudy, actually. It's a very nice day. It's not very hot today. But I would do that. If I was just dying of the heat and I showed up here, there's an unopened 500 milliliter bottle of water. If I needed it, I would drink the shit out of that. Because, and if someone ever caught me, oh God, it'd be like, I would be so embarrassed. But if I was thirsty, I would drink the water. I'm putting that one on record. I would drink the water if I needed it. But I don't, so I shall leave it unmolested. And actually, maybe just to be an equal opportunity, since I grew up Catholic, to be an equal opportunity religion meddler, if I was dying of thirst, I would drink holy water also. I'd go right into the first Catholic church I saw and I'd drink that holy water right up. I know you ain't supposed to, but I would do it. What is religion for if not to slake the thirst of the thirsty, both spiritually and in literal fashion? Riddle me that. Batman. Whew, this is a serious journey up. What is it, 20 to 4? I was going to say this is a pretty long ways up. That this is probably going to more or less work out okay. I was even thinking, should I hang out once I get to the observation deck? Should I just hang out till it gets dark? I could see the nighttime view. But it does take a little longer than that for it to get dark. It's not till 5:30. So. But walking up this trail, it's surprisingly non-linear. Like I was saying, on the way down, you just don't notice because you're just being funneled down. On the way up, there is actually quite a few places where you have to sort of choose. But it doesn't seem like it matters. It seems like, every route goes up and they all reconnect to each other. There does not appear to be multiple ways up. It's just this one way. It's just there's a couple little side sojourns. And also, it's actually really calm right now, this little spot where I've stopped. But it was really windy before. It was getting very windy and almost like a little quite chilly. I was like, if I was down on the ground, I would put on my hoodie at this point. There we go, I guess I can feel a bit of wind still. But whenever I'm going up, my body turns into a furnace. It just burns heat like crazy. It just expels heat when I'm burning the fuel to go up. So it was like a nice balance of I would be cold normally, but because I'm walking up these endless stairs, it's balancing out. The wind is balancing out my furnace-like heat. I was thinking, I really am despite the fact that it's really, I guess, just the knee. I'm lucky that my knee has not been a problem so far. It's been okay. But generally speaking, I think I'm kind of designed for this exact type of thing. I have a light upper body. Ah, geez, that's weird too. You can hear the siren from way down there. Again, yeah, just sound, dude. Sound travels. Sound is a menace. But yeah, I have such a light upper body, that I have basically a concave chest. But I have the burly legs of a man who walks everywhere every day. So it's great for going up stuff like this. I'm not carrying a lot of weight and my legs are fucking sweet. But I also noticed as I was going up this thing, as you get a little beyond, down at the bottom it was stone steps, and then it becomes the wooden steps that I remember, where it's like wooden pegs put into the ground and then bigger wood logs placed across and then packed full of dirt. Over and over and over, hundreds and hundreds of these. Although this path, it's like a weird assortment of different, some of it's just a path. A lot of it is these wood steps, some of it is stone steps. It's all like an assortment of stuff. But it's funny that obviously, those shrines and monuments, those are obviously not what stuck in my mind, to the point that I didn't remember there were two and I didn't know which one was which. it really is just the path itself, because once I got a little further up and I got to these wooden steps like I remembered, and then I stopped and I turned around and saw that view of what it looks like to come down. Because I only ever did this one time. One time I took this path and came down these steps. But in my mind, while I was back home in COVID times, I did this walk 100 times, And it's obviously all a very conceptual version of it, where I'm only remembering the broad strokes, but the parts I remembered were the steps and just the way these trees look, and looking out over, you can't really see a view from here because there's too many trees, but you can tell that you're just looking out into open air, and you can see how it slopes down at certain points. And you're just looking out across this forest going down. And just immediately I got a lump in my throat. I was like, holy shit, this is it. That place that I keep daydreaming about and pretending to walk and just imagining that I'm walking. Like, this is it, dude. You're here. This is the fucking place. So I guess if I was like a Dungeons and Dragons character, I guess I wouldn't be a priest or a monk. I would be like a druid, because it's the physical forest part, the actual path in the woods. That was the part that, it only hit me for a moment. It's so hard to wring feelings out of my poor, atrophied, entertainment-riddled, overstimulated North American little heart. But that is what gets me. That's the shit that gets me. It's just like, fuck, dude, that's it. You're here. You are here. It was a very cool moment. And I am still currently here as I say this, but yeah, I'm afraid I don't feel it anymore. It only lasted for a moment, but it was a sweet moment. All right, back up. Let's keep heading up. All right, I got to the top. I'm walking along the ridge. I can put on my hoodie now because I'm no longer directly moving upward, but I just passed a sign, 452 meters, which again, I don't know where they begin counting from. I'm going to assume that's above sea level, right? Like, it wouldn't be from the base of the mountain, because maybe the base of the mountain is different at different points of the mountain. But anyway, whatever that specifically means, it's significantly more than the other day when I climbed the mountain, because I remember that was 260 some. So this is almost double. Not bad, and I still feel pretty good. Man, it's going to be weird. I don't know, I dwell too much on when I'm an old man. Some people are like in their 80s and they're still just hiking along and everything's fine. Maybe I'll be one of those people. But it's like, what if I am just... Because I see a lot of old people around here in Japan, obviously a very aging population, a lot of people with walkers and stuff, and it's like, makes me feel sad. And I'm like, when I'm one of those people, if I listen back to this podcast, I'll be like, what a spry young man of 43. That guy was like fucking Superman, climbing mountains and shit. But anyway, at the top, when you finally get to the top of this trail, when there's a very distinct, like, you're at the top, you're at the fork, go left, go right. There's signs in Japanese, so probably if you can read those, you're one step ahead of me, and you just read the sign for whatever you want to do. But I think it's kind of interesting, because this is where my previous experience on this mountain is extremely handy, because if you go to the right, which is what I'm doing now, that'll get you to the paved access road, and a little beyond that, the short path down to the observation deck. So to the right is essentially down, where to the left is just more mountain, which again, I only did that walk one time, and it was just a weird, eventually I just had to force my way off the mountain, and I ended up in Sawara Ward, and I wouldn't say it went great, but AKA up. But in that moment that you're at the crossroads, to the right, which will take you eventually down, it's going up. And to the left, which will take you further up, things are going down. So it's like, again, maybe other people just don't have this problem like I do. But when I like look at the situation in front of me and try to gauge the most direct solution, it's just the worst thing you can do in Japan. It never fucking works. And in this case, it wouldn't either. There are some nice lookouts here, though, that I never noticed before. Like with literal, not just like a good view, but like with actual benches. Geez, yeah, like I never saw this one. I think because I came up these steps and just walked right past it. And now coming back the other way, yeah, just nice benches. Holy fucking fuck. This is way better than the fucking observation deck. Holy shit. Because yeah, the observation deck, you can, it's a great view, but you can only really see, like you really got to stretch to see Fukuoka Tower on one side and then the airport on the other. Because it's just like, you know, midway up the mountain and there's trees around it. You know, it's like you can get there in a car with no problem. It's obviously not like way up there. This spot that I'm at now, which I mean, how could I ever tell you how to get here, except I guess if you meticulously followed every little step of this podcast, but I can't like give you a name, it's just a spot on the mountain. I can see everything. Like at first I was just looking over to the west and it's like, oh yeah, look at that side of Fukuoka. Like it's very sparse. There's a lot of fields and just trees and not like even a ton of houses. I mean, there's a lot, but not by like the density of Japan standards. And then as you look over, there's all the millions of fucking islands in the distance. It's just the whole city. Yeah, like there's Fukuoka Tower completely visible right in the middle. Basically, yeah, of this panorama, Fukuoka Tower is right in the middle. And I can see all the way to the west where there's just no more city. You know, it disappears between the mountains and then there's a highway to the mythical Sawara Ward. And then all the way to the other side. I mean, I can't quite see all the way east on the city. I can't see the very eastern edge. This is fucking crazy, dude. I can see everything. I never have seen this view in my life. This is the best view I've ever seen. And the only thing obscuring it is there's another one of these fucking signs. What are these signs? But again, it's like I could never get down there to look up at it. I have no fucking clue what is on that billboardy looking sign. This one, does it have a fence around it? I can't tell from here. But yeah, I mean, it wouldn't matter. Even if I got down there, there's a lot of trees around it. I wouldn't be able to look up and even see. Fuck me. Fuck me, dude. Man, I'm far enough up that it's like, that seems like a pretty major street I'm looking at. How come I don't see any cars moving? There's a little light. Maybe it's just a little too late at night, like dusk is encroaching, but the lights aren't all on yet. If I look at the highway, okay, so there's that elevated highway that goes right past Umebayashi Station. I can see cars on that. So yeah, I guess for frame of reference, if this helps at all, I don't know. The cars on the overpass look like they're about 4 millimeters long, maybe 5. Damn, I can just see all the way in the distance. Okay, so that's cool. It's pretty hazy out there, so it's a little hard to see for sure, but behind Fukuoka Tower, with this little blinking light on top, so there's the island I was at yesterday. It doesn't seem nearly as mountainous from over here, but I mean, obviously I walked all the way up to the top of it, to the observation deck with like very little problem. It's obviously a lot smaller than where I'm at right now. But from this distance, yeah, it just looks like a bump, not that bad. But there's the sandbar. The sandbar looks bigger than I expected. This is fucking awesome, dude. What the fuck? Oh, I should also mention that the fall colors are really starting to come in too. Like most of the trees here, it's like 70% still green, but the ones that aren't green, there's like some really vibrant red, and then most of them are orange, different colors of orange. Man, oh man, oh man. I must have walked right past this, because it is like a little bit off of the main path. But I can see why there's not one but 2 wooden benches set up here. Oh, and here's another path. There's a much less developed path leading up to this point for obvious fucking reasons. I wonder direction does that point in? Because I mean, at this point, I also need to get off the mountain. It's going to start getting dark. Hey, there's a spider. Hello, Mr. Spider. 4:15, definitely get off the mountain time. Well, I mean, I guess what am I checking the map for? I just realized I can just look in real life. If I need to know what part of Fukuoka I'm going to end up in, I just look at reality. It actually seems like I'm closer to civilization if I go down this path to the west than if I go to the observation deck. So yeah, whatever, dude. I can go to the observation deck some other time. I've seen it a million times, and I mean, it's not as good of a view as this, so I think that's my new plan. I'm going down this path. The only thing is, I mean, I did want to complete that journey just to make sure that it does, in fact, go to the observation deck, as my memory tells me it does, because I've been wrong before. But I guess it doesn't matter. If someone did follow this exact route that I did, you don't need to go to the observation deck. Fuck the observation deck, you know? You start, so you go to Restaurant Mori, M-O-R-I, and the bathroom and the drink machine that are just below it. You turn off the side street that goes around behind the big temple that's there. You don't go up the path with all the metal pegs in the ground. You can't, so, you know, it's very easy to differentiate which one I'm talking about. Instead, you hang a left and just go over a little bit further to the rougher hewn steps. You go up to, right away, you'll see a big fucking stone monument. And then you go a little further up and you'll see a bigger stone throne looking monument. And you just keep going up and up and up and up and up and up. Up and up and up and up. 452 meters up the stairs. And then when you get to the top and you got the very distinct branch, go left or go right, go right. And then you'll see the sign that says you're 452 meters up. And then a little further on, you'll see to your left 2 benches. And when you walk over to those benches, you'll see the best view of Fukuoka that is fucking imaginable. Because yeah, there's nothing higher than me. The mountain doesn't go any higher than this. At least not on this side. This is, wow, holy shit. I do see there is a path down toward this billboardy looking thing. It doesn't seem like it'd be that hard to go down, but I'm just sure I wouldn't be able to see what's on it. But I mean, I must be able to see it from the ground. Why else would they erect these things? What are they for? I need to fucking solve that mystery. I need to know what these things are, because it's like the only thing that's in the way of this view. It better be fucking good. It better be good. But all right, I guess from here, I'm just going to go down this path to the west, because it looks pretty good. This is obviously pretty often used, should be a pretty easy descent, and I will report on where that spits me out. Where do I end up after this? Man, this is unusual. My journey to the fucking observation deck. I found observation deck ×2. I found super observation deck that I didn't know existed. What the hell? Nice, dog. This is a good adventuring day. Ah-ha-ha, I know you, my old friend. What is this? A lonely, unused paved road? Winding its way down the mountain? I know what you are. You're the forestry road. So yeah, at the top of this forestry road is where you can either go down the shorter path to the observation deck, or up to where I just came from. So yeah, I would not recommend that at all. Should you make it to that godly observation area I was at, it's best to just go back to the main path. Stick to the main path that you are on. Because yeah, the little path down to the west, it's like a perfect mixture of maintained and unmaintained. Geez, I can see through the trees here. I'm still way high up. But now that I'm on the forestry road, that's what I'm doing. I'm just walking down the forestry road till I get to the bottom. This was one of those things, one of those like, oh, I should do that again. the first time I ever came up this mountain, as soon as I saw a paved road, I also had no liquids on me like an idiot. Now I always have a bottle of water with me. And today I've been mainlining tea and coffee at every little machine I stopped at. I had the option to steal various alcohols, which again, God above, if you're watching, I did not do. But yeah, I saw this paved path and I walked down it, and it took forever, but it was a nice day. Anyway, down at the bottom of this, there's a really large Family Mart, and I went there and I got a pork cutlet, a katsu cutlet sandwich, and a strawberry and whipped cream sandwich. I'm gonna do that again, because that was one of my things, like, oh, I should do that again. But then I realized, like, oh, well, actually, I don't really need to just redo everything I did last time. But now I can inadvertently, I did a new adventure in the middle of two of my old adventures. I did a backward version of an old adventure, and then a new adventure, an amazing discovery. That might be my new best Fukuoka discovery. That view was just fucking crazy. And now I can finish off with, inadvertently, I can finish off with this. Because yeah, it's still pretty light out, but perfect time to just mosey down the mountain. But yeah, now that I've come off of that path too, as I was going down that path, it's a little steep, a little steeper than I would have liked it to be. And I was thinking, like, I bet it would be better on the way up. But there's no possible way you could go up. There's nothing marked here. Like, you'd never notice this in a million fucking years if you're walking down this this forestry road. There's no landmark. There's just a red ribbon tied to a tree. So it's clearly a down only. Up would be probably quite a bit better, but how would you ever find this? But yeah, basically, yeah, what a strange path where I can't complain, because it is clearly used to some amount, because it's completely clear. Everything was very accessible and easy to travail, to head across, unlike that path I tried to take the other day that was all overgrown. But there are no handmade steps at all. It's just a raw path. And unfortunately, no ropes. That's what it really needs. Even if you don't want to spend the time to try to hew steps into the fucking side of the mountain, I understand that. But yeah, if I did live near here, if I was some guy with his dog who just hiked this mountain every day, that's what I would do. I would fucking tie ropes to that route to make it easier to get down. So yeah, it was quite steep in some parts where I had to use trees, like hold on to the trees to make sure that I didn't start going down too quickly, and kind of make my way from tree to tree. A little tricky. But again, it's clearly used, like that's where it's the perfect balance of manned and unmanned, because there's little pink, yellow, or orange ribbons or pieces of tape around trees the entire way. Like, you could never get lost. There's always a very clear marker of where to go next, the entire way down. So as for a just raw path down the mountain, it's the best you could hope for, but I would not recommend it. Don't take that route down the mountain. That's there's no need. You just end up on this fucking forestry road anyway, so if you just stuck to the main path, you'd also end up here, just a little higher up. Virtually no benefit to that particular path, but hey, that's what I decided to do this vacation, is experiment with weird random shit like that. So yeah, that's kind of cool. Never did make it to the observation deck. Didn't get to see if the hot dog guy had his stand open, but that's insane. I had no idea that higher point was there. And that's legitimately worth it. I mean, both of them are nice. The main observation deck is no slouch, but I guess it stands to reason that the place that you can just drive up to on your motorbike and hang out that has a drink machine and a hot dog fucking vendor, it's not as good as, the one you gotta go on foot and go all the way up. But I just didn't know that was there. I missed it before. That was really fucking cool, man. I took one of those like panorama pictures, but I don't know what I could ever do with it, because the panorama is so long, because you can see literally all of Fukuoka, that it's just like the longest strip of a picture. Like, what monitor could you ever look at that on that it would mean anything? It's just too big. So I don't know. I guess I'll keep that picture just for my personal archives, but it's pointless to post it. It will mean nothing. But yeah, that was fucking cool. That was very good. Highly recommended. I hope that is findable. The same way that back in 2019, I actually made a video about how to get to my little secret path near Umabayashi Station. You know, a really bad video with no stabilization on my camera. It's hard to watch. But just because it was neat enough that I'm like, I feel like people should know about this. This is really cool. And it doesn't just lead you to nowhere in the mountains. It takes you to this observation deck that people want to go to anyway. It's like a legitimately handy thing. Near a subway, takes you to a landmark, win-win. That thing definitely needs, like if I had a gimbal and a nice stabilized phone, that thing deserves a fucking YouTube video, dude. That deserves a walkthrough of how to get to. But I'm really not equipped for that. But maybe someday, I don't know, maybe I'll plan for that next time. Next time I come to Japan, maybe I'll start experimenting with video a bit. Because, I mean, there's so many videos of Japan, you know, we don't need more of them. That's one reason why I thought it would be kind of cool to do a podcast. Because, like, whatever, you know, even if I can't find video of exactly where I am, you know, you can find an approximation of it. You can just search on Google and see, or on YouTube and see something close to what I'm seeing, because there's trillions of hours of just walking footage of everyone walking everywhere in the world. But there's shit like that. That needs a video. That is fucking cool. And now I'm looking out at another view that is just, all I can see from this vantage point is just trees and just mountains, but it's also fucking cool. Man, I'm glad I came up here today. Good God, man. Mount Aburayama. Golf courses notwithstanding, I love this fucking mountain. What a good mountain. It's so accessible, so close to the city. At worst, it's apparently about 500 meters, which I don't know, again, relatively speaking to other mountains. I don't know what that means, but it seems smallish to me. It seems very doable. And yeah, even if things go wrong, you're just never that far from anything. It's win, 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 win. It's the best. All right, sun's going down slowly but surely. Wind's picking up. On the win-loss fucking scale, today was a big time win. That is a definite win. Thank you very much for joining me on this adventure. I don't know how far I am down this fucking road, but I remember it was the world's longest road. It legitimately took me like 2 hours to walk down this the other time. So I don't know how much of a shortcut that was, but I got at least an hour ahead of me. And then I'm gonna go to fucking Family Mart and I'm gonna eat some shit. It's gonna be great. So I'll sign off there. Again, thank you for listening. See you next episode. Goodbye.